Well, hey, I got to go to NAB in Las Vegas this year, and I got to do it with TJ. It was so much fun. And honestly, it was really awesome. I mean, there were so many things to see. I got to nerd out a lot, like really. There were so many cameras and lighting and technology. There was so much innovation. It allowed all of us creatives to nerd out. And all of that is incredible. Don't get me wrong. But around the second day, somewhere between walking booth after booth, seeing all of these companies under this one roof and watching brands compete for attention, I realized that I wasn't just looking at an event for creatives. I was actually looking at business itself. And I'm standing there with this thought, looking at everything around me. Because what I saw on that floor wasn't just companies showcasing their products. For them, it was all about strategy. It was about positioning. It was about branding. It was about clarity. It was a reminder that every single entrepreneur, every single service provider, creative, and business owner is doing the exact same thing. We are all building our booths. And maybe you're like, Brian, what is my booth? Your business is your booth. You see, at NAB, every company had a mission. It was to capture attention, to communicate value, and to create trust. Some booths were massive: Canon, Sony, Blackmagic. Some were simple. We won't mention those. Some were loud and some were very polished. But every single one was asking the same question. Why should you stop here? And if we're honest, that's the same question your business is answering every day. It's the same question my business is answering every day. Why should someone hire you? Why should they trust you? Why should they invest in your service over someone else's? So your website is your booth. Your social media is your booth. Your client experience is your booth. Everything you do is telling people who you are. There's a quote by Jeff Bezos, who's the creator of Amazon. It says, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And walking NAB, I couldn't stop thinking about that quote, because the strongest brands at NAB weren't just selling products. They had already built reputations. I mean, if I say the word Canon, you already know it's a camera company. And you see, as entrepreneurs, that should challenge us. Are we simply offering a service, or are we building brands people are going to remember? You know, one thing that really stood out to me was that not every booth needed to be the loudest to be effective. Again, Canon wasn't loud at all. They were just doing their thing, and people knew who they were. The brands that often stood out most were the ones that were the clearest. You knew what they did. You knew who they served and why it mattered. And in today's world, clarity is so important. So the question is, are you neglecting that? Because if your audience has to work too hard to understand your value, you've probably already lost them. And I'll be honest with you, that convicted me as a business owner. Because sometimes we spend so much time trying to impress people that we forget to clearly serve them. Another thing, and I want you to jot this down, 4 simple words. Saturation isn't the enemy. There were so many companies in the same industry under this roof, oftentimes right next to each other. There were camera companies, audio companies, software companies, accessory brands, all right here. So many names, so much competition, yet somehow they all still belonged. And that honestly was a realization that hit hard, because I think so many entrepreneurs hold themselves back because they believe that the market is too saturated. They say things like there are already too many photographers, there are already too many artists, or too many videographers, or too many creators, or too many businesses. But NAB reminded me that saturation doesn't eliminate opportunity. You know what does? Lack of differentiation. There is still room for you if you know your value. There's still room for you if you know your voice. There's still room for you if you know your audience. You see, NAB was also a powerful reminder that staying relevant requires growth. So the companies creating momentum weren't standing still. They were adapting, improving, innovating. I loved that they had representatives there answering questions, hearing feedback from the people. And in business, that matters, because the moment you become too comfortable, you risk becoming outdated. And I'll be honest with you, that challenged me personally. It challenged me as a creative, as a business owner, and even as someone who's trying to build a brand. It had me asking, am I evolving? Am I sharpening my offer? Am I growing intentionally? Or am I simply hoping that what worked before will keep working? So it made me think that I need to build with purpose. Walking that floor reminded me big brands aren't built by accident. They are built intentionally. You're built intentionally through strategy, through consistency, through presentation, through relationships, and through vision. And no matter what stage of business you're in, you should be asking this: what does my booth say about me? Because whether you realize it or not, people are walking by your booth every day. Look, NAB gave me inspiration. It really did. It showed me incredible technology. It expanded my perspective creatively. And I got to play with a couple of cool cameras and lenses. It was awesome. I just had to say that. But more than anything, it reminded me that business is bigger than talent. It's about positioning. It's about clarity. It's about consistency. It's about building something worth stopping for. So whether you're a creative, whether you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, can I just encourage you to keep refining, to keep building, and to keep innovating? And most importantly, can I encourage you to keep building your booth? Because as you keep showing up, the right people will too. And trust me, the right people are coming.